it's Maureen Muldoon, and we are on lesson 135 with A Course in Miracles, the workbook lessons, and it's kind of a long lesson. We're getting into the longer ones, so we're going to just jump right in. If you like this lesson, just like it, subscribe, share it with your friends, and mostly thank you for staying in the course, because it's just much nicer to do these lessons together. This is, as I said, a long one, so hopefully there'll be something for us in this lesson. Stick with me, and let's do it. If I defend myself, I am attacked. Who would defend himself unless he thought he were attacked, and the attack were real, and that his own defense could save him? And herein lies the folly of defense. It gives illusion full reality and then attempts to handle them as real. It adds illusions to illusions, thus making correction doubly difficult. And it is this you do when you attempt to plan the future, activate the past, or organize the present as you wish. So in this first paragraph, it's saying to us, like, all of your thinking, all of your planning, all of your organizing is actually a defense against this moment. Like, see if you can let that go. We give everything all the meaning it has for us, and it would be much more optimal if we were just to be able to experience this moment without our thinking about this moment. I know it sounds crazy, but that's how dogs do it, and babies. We operate from the belief that you must protect yourself from what is happening because it must contain what threatens you. A sense of threat is an acknowledgment of an inherent weakness, a belief that there is a danger which has power to call on you to make appropriate defenses. The world is based on this insane belief, and all its structures, all its thoughts and doubts, its penalties and heavy armament, its legal definitions, its codes, its ethics, its leaders, and its gods, all serve but to preserve its sense of threat. For no one walks the world in armament but must have terror striking at his heart. So anytime you feel like you're in defense, or anytime you see anybody who's defensive, just know that the situation is that person is scared. That's all. People who are defensive feel like they are vulnerable. Defense is frightening. It stems from fear, increasing fear as each defense is made. You think it offers safety, yet it speaks of fear made real and terror justified. Is it not strange you do not pause to ask as you elaborate your plans to make your armor thicker and your locks more tight, what you defend against and how and against what? The only thing you're defending against is your own fear. You think that there's something that can harm you. The only thing that can harm you is your own thoughts. That's why they're saying, like, stop planning the past, the future, and the present. Like, just be. 4. Let us consider first what you defend. It must be something that's very weak and easily assaulted. It must be something made easy prey, unable to protect itself and needing your defense. What but the body has such frailty that constant care and watchful, deep concern are needed to protect its little life? What but the body falters and must fail to serve the Son of God as worthy host? It's interesting because today is Good Friday, the day that I'm recording this. And, Good Friday is the day that Jesus was killed. Murdered, and yet it's called Good Friday, and some interpretations of that is that he got to drop the body and go back to that sense of oneness with the divine. Anytime anybody's had a near-death experience, they always come back saying, like, that was awesome, and then they write a best-selling book. So death can't be all that bad. It gets really good PR from people who've actually been there. So maybe it's good when people die, and maybe it's bad when people are born. And the Course in Miracles says we see everything in this world upside down, so that would make sense if we're seeing it incorrectly. I mean, not to say, like, when somebody dies that you should feel happy, but I had a woman on my phone call this morning who said that a friend of hers passed away last night, and she said, I felt very proud of them that they had the courage to let their body drop because they were in a lot of pain. I thought that was a really interesting way to interpret death. So anyway, I'm still curious about the whole thing. Yet it is not the body that can fear, nor be a thing of fear. It has no needs but those which you assign to it. It needs no complicated structure or defense, no health-inducing medicine, no care, and no concern at all. Defend its life, and it and give it gifts to make it beautiful or walls to make it safe, and you but say your home is open to the thief of time, corruptible and crumbling, so unsafe that it must be guarded with your very life. Damn. It's like saying, like, the body's a temporary meat suit, basically, and it will crumble and fall apart, but don't worry about that because it's not your true home. So it sounds sort of morose, but it's okay. We were pretty suspicious about that to begin with. Is this my home? Anyway, number 6, is not this picture fearful? Can you be at peace with such a concept of your home? Yet what endowed the body with the right to serve you thus, except your own beliefs? It is your mind which gave the body all the functions that you see in it and set its value far beyond a little pile of dust and water. Who would make defense of something that he recognizes as this? So we're just a little pile of dust and water? That's unfortunate news, but I guess it should feel free, Anyhow, the body is in need of no defense. It cannot be too oftenly emphasized. It will be strong and healthy if the mind does not abuse it by assigning it roles it cannot fill, purposes beyond its scope, and to exhaust its aim which it cannot accomplish. Such attempts, ridiculous yet deeply cherished, are the source of the many mad attacks you make upon it, for it seems to fail your hopes, your needs, your values, and your dreams. Have we made a mockery of our relationship with our body by making it more than it is? It is nothing more than like an automobile that our spirit is driving around in for a temporary time. And it's good to keep your body healthy and care for it as you would care for anything, but it's definitely not your identity. The self that needs protection is not real. The body, valueless and hardly worth the least offense, need merely be perceived as quite apart from you, and it becomes a healthy, serviceable instrument through which the mind can operate until its usefulness is over. Who would want to keep it when its usefulness is done? That's like, when you graduate from kindergarten, you don't want to go back to kindergarten. It's like, it's done, you graduated. So when the body starts showing signs of expiration, don't get afraid. It's not a sign of death, it's a sign of graduation. Defend the body and you have attacked your mind, for you have seen in it the faults, the weakness, the limitations, and the lack from which you think the body must be saved. You will not see the mind as separate from the bodily conditions, and you will impose upon the body all the pain that comes from the conceptions of the mind as limited and frail and apart from other minds and separate from its source. These are the thoughts in need of healing, and the body will respond with health when they have been corrected and replaced with truth. This is the body's only defense. Yet, is this where you look for its defense? You offer it protection of a kind from which it gains no benefit at all, but merely adds to your distress of mind. You do not heal, but merely take away the hope of healing, for you fail to see where hope must lie if it be meaningful. A healed mind does not plan. It carries out the plans that it receives through listening to wisdom that is not its own. It waits until it has been taught what should be done and then proceeds to do it. It does not depend upon itself for anything except its adequacy to fulfill the plan assigned to it. It is secure in certainty that obstacles cannot impede its progress to accomplishments of any goal that serves the greater plan established for the good of everyone. So this paragraph 11 in lesson 135 is really giving us keys to the kingdom. It's like, just listen. If you're thinking, you're not listening. You're thinking. You're monopolizing the conversation with the divine. And you want to give up all that thinking so that you can be still and hear. Meditation is a very helpful practice to assist this. But even if you're allergic to meditation, you can at least try to be still and just check in with yourself, with your higher self, and be patient. And patience is very helpful. And I like to say, if you get nothing when you're asking for divine direction, if you get nothing, do nothing. And the ego hates to do nothing. The ego likes to keep us very busy. So, number 12, a healed mind is relieved of all the belief that it must plan, although it cannot know the outcome which is best, the means by which it is achieved, nor how to recognize the problem that the plan is made to solve. It must misuse the body in its plan until it recognizes this is so. But when it has accepted that this is true, then it is healed and lets the body go. A healed mind is a lovely thing to have. Remember those commercials that said, like, this is your brain on drugs? Like, this is your mind on separation. Like, this is your mind on illusion. When you have created alternative alters and said the body, the personality, all those things are more important. Like, look, this is tough. This is not, when I hear sometimes when people say, like, oh, I'm going to have to chew on that for a long time. I understand that. It's a complete reversal of the way that we've been thinking. And there is a great investment in your planning and your negotiating and all of those things that the ego likes to do. So giving them up will be uncomfortable at first. There was a woman on my earlier call who was saying, like, you know, I wasn't upset when Notre Dame burned, and I feel uncomfortable with the fact that the shifts that are happening to me through A Course in Miracles are making me feel nothing. And I said to her, you're not feeling nothing. You're feeling peace. And you just don't know how that feels. You know, you're feeling the lack of drama. The lack of drama is not nothing. The lack of drama is peace. And sometimes peace can feel so alien that we don't recognize it. 13. Enslavement of the body to the plan the unhealed mind set up to save itself must make the body sick. It is not free to be the means of helping in a plan which far exceeds its own protection and which needs its service for a little while. In this capacity is health assured, for everything the mind employs for this will function flawlessly and with the strength that has been given it and cannot fail. So that's the good news. That means, like, everything that we're designed to do, everything that we're brought through by the grace of God, and we don't have to worry about it. It is perhaps not easy to perceive that self-initiated plans are but defenses, with the purpose all of them were made to realize. They are the means by which a frightened mind would undertake its own protection at the cost of truth. This is not difficult to realize in some form which these self-deceptions take, where the denial of reality is very obvious. Yet planning is not often recognized as defense. So, self-initiated plans. My whole life was a self-initiated plan. It was always, what am I going to do? What am I going to get? How am I going to get it? Learning how to give up self-initiated plans is a practice. It's no longer, what does Maureen want? It's like, what does God want me to do? And most of the time, it's so different than what I think. So it's good to check in. In chapter 2, Jesus says to us, don't make any decisions without asking me. I can't tell you how many decisions I've made without checking in. And when I do that, I got a 50-50 chance of total disaster. So those aren't good odds. So I don't want to roll that way anymore. The mind engaged in planning for itself is occupied in setting up control of future happenings. It does not think that it will be provided for unless it makes its own provisions. Time becomes a future emphasis to be controlled by learning and experience obtained from past events and previous beliefs. It overlooks the present, for it rests on the idea that the past has taught enough to let the mind direct its future course. So it's like it's like Einstein saying, like, you can't solve the problem at the level of the problem. And the problem is we're using yesterday's tools for today's situations. Don't work with yesterday's plans. We've got today's plans. And that's why there's not one size fits all plan. Like, we get to live in the authentic nature of this moment. And in the authentic nature of this moment, we get to come unplanned. It's like a beautiful improv game that's happening in real time with God. And most of the time, it's best if we, just like regular improv, don't question anything. Like, just say yes. And you have cancer, yes, and it's going to be okay. You're getting a divorce, yes, and it's going to be okay. You just won the Academy Award, yes, and it's going to be okay. Like, really, that would be the optimal. The chapel is burning, yes, and it's going to be okay. They're building a new one, yes, and it's going to be okay. I mean, I know it sounds like, well, that's the most undramatic script that was ever written, but God's not invested in drama, and we're not here for drama. We're here for peace. Peace is the goal. If you were looking for drama, you might want to try a reality show. Isn't that funny? Number 16, the mind that plans is thus refusing to allow for change. What it has learned before becomes the basis for its future goals. Its past experiences direct its choice of what will happen, and it does not see that here and now is everything it needs to guarantee a future quite unlike the past, without a continuity of any old ideas and sick beliefs. Anticipation plays no part at all, for present confidence directs the way. Everything that you need is provided for you right here and right now. That requires a certain degree of trust, doesn't it? Can I trust that God is that capable? That God's going to do everything? That God's going to use me for what I'm capable of doing in places that I cannot fail? Will there be no struggle? And I'm supposed to let go of all my future planning and all of my past successes? Like, I know that this works, I'll just keep doing it every day. Yeah, let go of all of that. Because if you carry all that past stuff into the present moment, you'll annihilate the present moment. You won't actually be here. 17. Defenses are the plans you undertake to make against the truth. Their aim is to select what you approve and disregard what you consider incompatible with your belief of your reality. Yet what remains is meaningless indeed, for it is your reality that is the threat, which your defenses would attack, obscure, and take apart and crucify. 18. This is a great paragraph. What could you not accept if you but knew that everything, all events, past, present, and to come, are gently planned by one whose only purpose is your good? Perhaps you have misunderstood his plan, for he would never offer you pain. But your defense did not let you see his loving blessing shine in every step you ever took. While you made plans for death, he led you gently to eternal life. Your present trust in him is the defense that promises a future undisturbed, without a trace of sorrow, and with joy that constantly increases as this life becomes a holy instant, set in time, but heeding only immortality. Let no defenses but your present trust direct the future, and this life becomes a meaningful encounter with the truth that only your defenses would conceal. Without defenses, you become a light, which heaven gratefully acknowledges to be its own, and it will lead you in a way appointed for your happiness according to the ancient plan begun when time was born. Your followers will join their light with yours, and it will be increased until the world is lit up with joy, and gladly will our brothers lay aside their cumbersome defenses, which availed them nothing and could only terrify. That sounds like heaven, doesn't it? Like, when you let go of all of your little planning, God has planned something so audacious. We will anticipate this time today with present confidence, for this is part of what was planned for us. We will be sure that everything we need is given us for our accomplishment of this day. We make no plans for how this will be done, but realize that our defenselessness is all that is required for the truth to dawn upon our minds with certainty. 22. For 15 minutes twice today, we rest from senseless plans and from every thought that blocked the truth from entering our minds. Today we will receive instead of plan, and that we may give instead of organize. And we are given truly, as we say, if I defend myself, I am attacked. But in defenselessness, I will be strong, and I will learn what my defenses hid. I love these lessons. They're so beautiful. Like I can literally feel my brain being rewired. That sounds crazy, but nothing but that. If there are plans to make, you will be told of them. They may not be the plans you thought were needed, nor indeed the answer to the problem which you thought confronted you, but they are the answer to another kind of question, which remains unanswered, yet in need of answering until the answer comes to you at last. All your defenses have been aimed at not receiving what you will receive today, and in the light and joy of simple trust, you will but wonder why you ever thought that you must be defended from release. Heaven asks nothing. It is hell that makes extravagant demands for sacrifice. You give up nothing in these times. Today, when undefended, you present yourself to your Creator as you really are. He has remembered you. Today we will remember him, for this is Easter time in your salvation, and you will rise again from what was seeming death and hopelessness. Now is the light of hope reborn in you, for now you come without defense to learn the part for you within the plan of God. What little plans or magical beliefs can still have value when you've received your function from the voice of God himself. I mean, aren't you kind of curious? Like, don't you want to go to God and be like, what's the plan? I'll do whatever you want me to do. Because my plan is not working when it comes to peace. I'm super happy about this lesson. 26. I know it's long, but here we are at the final paragraph. Try not to shape this day as you believe would benefit you most, for you cannot conceive of all the happiness that comes to you without your planning. Learn today, and all the world will take this giant stride and celebrate your Easter time with you. Throughout the day, as foolish little things appear to raise defensiveness in you and tempt you to engage in weaving plans, remind yourself this is a special day for learning, and acknowledge it with this. Today is my Easter time, and I would keep it holy. I will not defend myself, because the Son of God needs no defense against the truth of his reality. What does that mean, that this is your Easter time? Easter is a time of rebirth, of a new thought, of springing forward, of dying off what is no longer serving and stepping into the light, right? Christ is risen in each of us. Mary Magdalene comes from, the tomb and sees it's empty, and she goes to the emperor and she goes to the apostles and she preaches the gospel of truth, which is Christ is risen. She doesn't say Jesus is risen. She doesn't say Joshua is risen. She says Christ. And she uses this word because Christ lives in all of us. And today Christ is risen in you and Christ is risen in me. It basically means the light is risen. Like we are light beings in this world. And recognizing that and then allowing the light of God to inform us as to where to go, what to do, and what to say would make things very pleasant for us, very peaceful, and very purposeful. So I hope that today you get to practice the 15 minutes that are suggested so that you too can have a present, peaceful, and purposeful experience. And we'll see what happens. Okay? Thank you for practicing with me. Thank you for this lesson. And thank you.